We're back, and today I'm going to be virtually coaching a 4.5 player into a 5.0. So what does this 4.5 player need to do to get to that next level? We have Sam from Pickle Shooters, who's uploaded some great content, and he uploaded a video about 4.5 play in San Diego, California. So we're going to be taking clips from that after I've reviewed it, and I'm going to give my feedback as to what he could do to improve his game. Now, of course, I wouldn't just go up and give people feedback on the court because I don't think it's very polite to give unsolicited feedback. So, Sam, if you don't want feedback, just ignore this video. But I think the information is helpful for others that have your play style at that kind of 4.5 level that are trying to get up to that 5.0 and beyond. First, let's talk about your play style. If we had a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being defensive and 10 being aggressive, you're probably at about a 3. This is not bad, but it just means that you tend to be on the defensive, safer side of pickleball. But as you're playing against 5.0 and 5.5 players, they're going to be starting to dictate the points a lot more. And one trap I don't want you to fall into is being too safe. So if you take away one thing from this video, it is this. Try to start finding pressure on mediocre balls. So when your opponent hits you a ball, it's not a ball that you could really attack well, and it's also not a ball that's pressuring you much. I want you to try to find ways to apply pressure to your opponents more. That might mean hitting a dink just a little bit farther, half a foot to a foot and a half farther. Or it might mean trying to really focus on hitting it at someone's foot whenever they're coming in transition versus just trying to getting the ball back in play. I'm not saying that you do this super bad, but what I have noticed is that your opponents in a lot of these clips, they look fairly comfortable. And you do not want your opponents feeling comfortable at the 5.0 and 5.5 level. They'll really just start controlling the game if they do. Let's talk about your strengths. You have some amazing backhand dinks, very, very, very consistent. I can tell you prioritize consistency in your drilling, and it shows here. Your step back dinks or relieving dinks when you're under a lot of pressure are really, really high level, 5.0 plus at least. You give yourself space and time when stepping back to hit these dinks. That's the two main things I tell people when they're trying to learn how to hit these pressure dinks or get them back without popping them up, and that is to give yourself space and time, and you do that exceptionally well. Your positioning at the kitchen, very good. You do a great job of reading the angles, sitting on spots that it would be annoying for your opponent. You make your opponent's court small, very good. Keep it up. I also love that you test out shots. There's several clips of you hitting lobs and you hitting some shots that you might not normally hit, but it's something that I can tell you're trying, and I really want to encourage you as a coach to keep trying it. Some coaches, well, unfortunately, a lot of coaches and a lot of players will kind of tell you, oh, don't hit that shot. It didn't work. Don't try it again. But for me, there's some stuff here that you're really close to being able to hit some really creative shots that are consistent and effective. And these shots are very, very hard to do because when you miss them, people say mean things and they say stuff like, oh, you should never try that. That's not a smart shot. But there's still a lot of shots in pickleball that are smart based on how well you can hit them. But a lot of players don't take the time and effort to learn how to hit them well, and so they don't ever learn them. And what I think is your best skill is a speed up off of a slow ball. So like a dead dink that kind of sits up, or even a dink that's out of the air. You do a great job of freezing your opponents and then kind of flicking it at them. Your opponents look like they don't know where it's going, which tells me you're very good at deceiving where you're going with your flick and your speed up. And they look like they're under a lot of pressure when that ball is slow at you. Now, the things that I think would be most helpful for you to work on and focus on when you're drilling are these. Number 1, returns. Your return seems to be kind of too passive and too safe. Now, this is something that we try to get newer players to do, is get a safe, deep return. But at a high level, like 4.5, 5.0 plus, that safe return that just kind of sits up, it gets driven really hard, and it makes it so that your opponents kind of start out with the tempo. You don't want that. A nice heavier return, even a return that doesn't allow you to get all the way to the kitchen very good, is something I would suggest would be better here so that your opponents can't be comfortable hitting their third. Now, I don't recommend this for everyone, but because you're at that 4.5 level, trying to get to 5.0 plus, I do recommend it. You can't just give kind of mediocre balls back to your opponents. Again, they will start dictating the point and controlling the game. You don't want that. So when you're hitting these returns, see if you can hit them a little bit heavier and straighter. Still get good net clearance. Still try to give yourself some time to get to the kitchen. But you might have to hurry it up a little bit with your movement to the kitchen because you're trying to hit a heavier return. Now, it's easy to miss these, so I encourage you heavily to drill these a lot. A lot of people do not focus on serves and returns as much when they're drilling. I highly suggest it. Have someone hit you hard serves, even if they're missing some of them, so that you have to deal with a heavy serve trying to get a heavy return back. Another big area for improvement is your positioning after your drive. And I think what's happening is your drive, you're following through kind of lateral versus following through towards your target. So when you're driving, your main goal is to drive it, follow it, so that because two things will likely happen. One, your opponents will give you a short ball that you need to move in on and hit a fifth shot drop. Or two, they'll pop up a ball that you can come in and hunt and attack yourself. But if you're driving and then kind of your momentum's taking you to the sideways or off the court, you're not going to be able to follow it in time. So what's better? Hit like a 70% power drive, but follow that forward so that you can move in and look to hunt the ball or get that short low ball. If you're driving it constantly too high and they're smacking it down at your feet, that's a problem with the height of your drive. But we do, as we're going up to that 5-0 level, we need to be able to drive and follow it so that you and your partner can practice hunting those balls a lot better when they pop them up. Also with the positioning, when your partner's hitting the third, I would like to see you take a lot more cheat steps and get into the kitchen a lot more effectively and quickly on your partner's third shot drop or drive. Now when your partner hits a third shot drive, what I like to do is default to trust that it's going to be a good drive and kind of take those cheat steps in, follow it, so that I'm kind of coming in looking to hunt for balls that my opponents pop up. If they keep hitting the ball down at my feet, though, that means my partner's not hitting a good drive that day, and so I might not be as aggressive on that. But you need to be in a position where you're looking for these aggressive shots off of your partner's third. If they're hitting a drop, you're going to take a few more steps in, watch your partner hit, and then be able to get in more on their third so that you can pressure when your opponent's hitting their fourth. You want your opponent's court to feel small when you're up there at the kitchen, so you can get in there a lot quicker on their third. I want you to try to start doing that and getting more comfortable with that. A great drill for that is what I call the bubble drill. I haven't seen anyone else do this or teach this, but the bubble drill is where you're going to be kind of stand a few feet off of the kitchen line in the middle of the court, and your partner feeding to you is going to feed just outside of your bubble. And so they're going to feed a nice slow kind of shoulder to waist height ball that you're going to have to be moving, stepping, reaching, and attacking. So it's going to help you learn how to attack on the extension. This is also a very good drill for practicing singles, where you're having to constantly lunge and reach for balls that are just out of your reach or just outside of your bubble. The last thing that I think you could improve more on is the targets of your drops. So a lot of your drop shots go middle, which again is kind of safe, it's pretty good, but when you can, go to the outsides more and try to get your opponents kind of reaching for balls. Going to the outsides will also help give you narrower angles, and it'll give you and your partner more ability to kind of squeeze their court and kind of come in together. But when you hit drops middle, your opponents have a lot of angles. They have a lot of places they could put the ball. They can reach into the kitchen a lot more effectively in the middle versus when they're having to step lateral and go forward on those side balls. There's several shots where you do hit a really good cross-court drop that's kind of to the outside of your opponents. I would like to see more of those. Those are really good and effective, particularly when you get a weak ball and you're able to put a little more pressure and have more room for error. Try to go to those outsides so you can come in and, again, practice hunting. This will help you and your partner put a lot more pressure on your opponents as the serving team. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this was helpful for you, Sam. I really hope that you get that up to that 5-0 level. You seem like you're really dedicated to the game and you're trying really hard. You're drilling, playing a lot. Love your content, and good luck using all of these in your drill sessions and in your future games. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching. Bye.